I once believed that affairs were born only from the ashes of love's demise. Until the gaze of my best friend's son pierced through me. Leaving me breathless, I first encountered him just after high school, a slender figure. Awkward yet endearing, always lost in a game or a spirited debate with his mother at once. He existed only as her son, a presence that drifted in and out, marked by brief, polite greetings exchanged over steaming cups of coffee in the cozy kitchen. As I stepped through the threshold of my friend's abode, I was met with a striking transformation. He stood taller, broader. His very essence more pronounced. A change awakened deep within me. His face bore the marks of time. The jawline defined and strong, while the eyes held a gentle warmth. His gaze was a tapestry woven with 1,000 unspoken words. It seemed he saw me not merely as a friend of his mother, but as someone worthy of his focus in this moment. He smiled first, and I instinctively replied. Yet my chest tightened with an indescribable sensation. My friend welcomed me with her usual playful jests, but my mind began to drift away. He leaned against the kitchen counter, his forearm muscles taut as he reached for a glass, his voice lowering to a dry, husky whisper. That evening his words were few, especially towards me. Yet, each time I glanced up, his gaze was fixed on me, not merely looking, but observing. As if he sought to uncover secrets I unknowingly revealed. Dinner unfolded with ease. A cozy atmosphere filled with the familiar tales friends share when words seem to wane. He lingered in the shadows of conversation, his smirks and half-hearted laughs weaving a tapestry of unspoken thoughts that pierced a little too deeply. I observed, yet my companion remained oblivious. I witnessed every moment unfold. The room exuded a surprising warmth. As I adjusted the neckline of my blouse, the soft fabric grazed my collarbone, a gentle reminder of the moment. I quietly made my way to the toilet, letting the cold water dance over my wrists. I peered into the mirror, facing the enigmatic figure I endeavored to hide. As I made my way back, the sweet finale of the meal was being served, and he stood to lend a hand with the plates. He snatched it away just as I reached for it, our fingers almost brushing against one another. Just a gentle touch, enough to sweep away my next thought. As I finished my coffee, I stood up, ready to take my leave. A friend of mine shared some easygoing plans for the weekend. I recognized and welcomed with open arms. As I neared the door, he quietly slipped behind me and swung it open. Just before my hand could reach for the handle, "Drive carefully," he whispered. His breath a gentle warmth against my neck. I cast a quick look, searching for hints of humor, of playful trickery. Yet, his face remained devoid of any smile. His face was a facade, concealing all, almost indifferent. He commented, "What a pity you're so close. Weaves a tangled web." He took a step back, leaving the door slightly open, his eyes wandering off into the distance. My hands trembled on the wheel as I navigated the road ahead. I persuaded myself it was insignificant, just a young man attempting to be clever, testing boundaries that they were absent. That night, as I shed my clothes in the bathroom, I beheld my body in a fresh perspective, free from judgment or intrigue. With a focus I hadn't felt in years, I glided my fingers along my collarbone, echoing the gaze I had captured moments before. As I pulled open the drawer of my pants, my eyes lingered on the white lace, pristine and untouched for what felt like an eternity. A flame flickered to life inside, not a memory, but a gentle murmur of what lies ahead. My husband reclined in bed, drowsy and lost in the glow of his tablet. He looked up, flashed a brief smile. He shifted his focus back to the screen. I settled beside him, still, partially draped in fabric. He let it slip by unnoticed. Maybe he was aware, yet chose to keep his thoughts to himself. That's the way we've been moving lately, with a gentle, polite sidestepping of the things left unsaid. In the shadows, I found myself drawn back to that moment at the threshold. His voice danced softly near my ear. A pause lingers in the air before he utters a word. I awaited his arrival, certain that our destinies would intertwine again. A part of me longed for that more than anything else in weeks. Even as I attempted to suppress it. As I shifted my gaze from my husband, I turned, separated from my husband, seeking to calm the turmoil brewing inside me. Slowly, softly, it wasn't exactly yearning. It hung in the air, the resonance of familiarity. That, I feel, was the peace I had long been searching for. Encountering him once more in such a short span was a surprise. That thought lingered since that evening, weaving itself into the quiet corners of my days. As I folded laundry, cooked dinner, and brushed my teeth, my husband right there beside me. I did not extend an invitation to that thought. It throbbed with an energy, a whisper of something alive just beneath the skin. A gentle whisper drifts in from afar. Yet life, with its delicate severity, seems to acknowledge the transformations brewing within your soul. Tuesday made its entrance. It lingers in my memory. It was laundry day. I ventured forth, my attire a delightful chaos, the dress swirling around me, crafted from cotton, unadorned, hair gathered back in a simple, unassuming manner. Upon arriving at my friend's abode, I made my way to deliver a cherished baking dish. I found myself with no desire to stay any longer. At first, I found myself pausing before the door, unsure whether to make that first move. I quietly entered through the back door just as I always did. She was nowhere to be found. The house lingered in quietude. In the hallway, I lingered, dish in hand, ready to leave it behind on the counter and slip into the shadows. Overlooked, yet he was there, woven into the fabric of the moment. I failed to catch his words. From the shadows of the kitchen, he stepped forth, barefoot and cradling a coffee mug. His eyes weighed down by the remnants of slumber. Greetings. He spoke, his voice roughened by the remnants of slumber. Ah. Your presence slipped past me unnoticed. I placed this here, I declared, lifting the dish slightly as though that explained everything. He stepped into the kitchen, leaning against the counter with a sense of ease. His t-shirt clung in ways that captivated my attention completely. He emerged as though he had just tumbled out of slumber, caught off guard by the presence of others. For a fleeting moment, I found myself feeling utterly absurd in that place, joined in matrimony to someone nearly double his years, grasping a dish as if embodying a classic suburban archetype. Would you like to share a cup of coffee? He asked. I should have said no. It resonated through every part of me. I gave a knowing nod. He moved with a calm grace, untouched by the chaos around him. I stood at the kitchen's edge, arms crossed, pretending to be indifferent to his closeness as he poured. He offered the cup, our fingers brushing against each other once again. This meeting seemed purposeful. It lingered. We stood, poised and ready, as the moment unfolded before us. We lingered in that kitchen, enveloped in a silence that felt all too familiar. I savoured a sip of the coffee. It was a fierce and unforgiving experience. There I stood, untouched by the world around me. He regarded me with a look of astonishment, taken aback by my unexpected arrival. I found myself with no desire to stay any longer. Have you always embraced this sense of spontaneity? I raised an eyebrow. Is this your typical scene? Wandering around in a state of partial dress, he wore a smile. It changes depending on who is watching. Once more, the silence stretches on fluid. Something more substantial. His gaze wandered from my face to my collarbone, then descended further. The air grew dense, a weighty silence wrapping around us. I must take my leave, I proclaimed, yet I stood frozen in place with a gentle motion. He set his mug down upon the table. Should you? My eyes were locked onto him. I sought to weave a light-hearted comment, something whimsical to float into the ether. Yet the stillness held its ground. He took his first steps into the new space, one foot in front of the other. The sharp edge of the kitchen counter dug into my back, a reminder of the space I occupied in that moment. The coolness sent a jolt through the delicate fabric of my dress. He maintained a careful distance, positioned to near directly before me. He confessed to having thoughts of her. The words resonated more profoundly than anticipated, vibrant, daring, and maybe a touch impulsive. Yet, his voice carried a humble sincerity. Just the truth, and that broke me more than anything else ever could. Silence lingered in the air. I found myself unable to. His hand lifted slowly and with intention, grazing my jaw gently. The back of his fingers glided across. His touch sparked a fire upon my skin. At long last, it came to pass. He leaned in, just slow enough for me to pull back, to chuckle it off. Alas, I did not. I tilted my head, my eyes fluttering shut as his lips drew near. In an instant, their lips met. It was a turning point. It ignited without warning, filled with a feeling that neither of us had the courage to acknowledge. Like striking a match and watching its flame dance before the mind has a chance to step in. My hand reached out, searching for something to grasp, anchoring me in the present. One clutched his chest. The other gripped the edge of the counter tightly. I relished the rich aroma of coffee alongside another delightful taste. There was an urgency, a vividness that surpassed anything I had previously encountered. It unfolded, ephemeral yet timeless. I retreated, breath suspended, heart racing. I whispered, I cannot. Yet I stood frozen in place. He looked at me, his eyes holding a depth like never before. The entrance of a vehicle. It split the moment in two. I drew back, nearly sending the dish tumbling over. With a decisive motion, it was brought down onto the counter. I must take my leave, I reiterated. My voice quivered, and I despised that he could perceive it. He released me from his grasp. The head inclined slightly in acknowledgement. At a gentle pace, until next time. I ventured forth, my gaze fixed ahead, never looking back, slipped into the car. Fingers wrapped tightly around the steering wheel, knuckles white as snow. My heart raced through every part of me. In my ears, my throat, the space between my legs. At home, I flung my dress into the hamper. Feeling as though it had betrayed me, I glided into a soft, whispering fabric. I floated through the house, avoiding the reflection of myself. My husband arrived home later than usual. His lips gently grazed my cheek. I drew back. He turned a blind eye to it, or perhaps pretended not to see, that night. As he extended his hand towards me in the dim light of the room, I yielded. His hands embraced like a familiar sanctuary, his rhythm a journey well-trodden, yet I lay there, eyes fixed on the ceiling, wrestling with the whispers of another hand, another mouth, another presence. When it was all over, I declared myself spent. He turned onto his side, a sense of contentment washing over him. I turned away from him, holding a pillow to my belly as if it might soothe the ache within. No tears fell. There was no weight of remorse to bear. An unusual void hung in the air, as though something had fractured deep inside me, and I found myself reluctant to repair the rift. It transcended the mere act of a kiss. A fresh beginning. I came to understand that I would let it reveal itself again. I thought it would be easy to dismiss. I longed to tuck the memory away in a quiet, far-off corner of my being and press on as if nothing had shifted. I had achieved it before. Hidden disappointments, unmet longings, and silent resentments. It had woven itself into the very fabric of existence. This moment held a distinct charm. The kiss etched itself into my very being, an indelible mark on my soul. The warmth of his kiss remained, his fingers gently caressing my jaw. The mornings carried his essence, a warmth sparking beneath my garments at the glimpse of my own reflection. I tried to set it aside. I persuaded myself it was merely a mistake, a fleeting fancy, a trivial delight that bore no weight. Yet I lingered as I strolled past his street, halting, searching for his car, pondering whether his memories aligned with my own, with a sense of urgency and caution. I navigated away from my friend's place for days, aware of the tension that lingered in the air. I declined her invitations, pretended to have headaches, and mentioned errands that needed my attention. She embraced it wholeheartedly. Her mind danced with visions of her plans, the rhythm of work, and the endless chatter of renovations and adventures yet to come. Yet, I came to understand that I couldn't hold onto it forever. I must face him again. To take action or to refrain from it. Encountering him in another place was like inhaling a refreshing breeze, a shared connection. Twice a month, I dedicated my time at the local community center, engaging in a literacy program that aimed to uplift and empower others. As I finished packing my belongings, I caught sight of him in the hallway, engaged in conversation with someone near the entrance. He slipped into a jacket over a dark shirt, complemented by jeans, his hair slightly tousled, adding a touch of casual charm to his appearance. He seemed like an ordinary fellow, warm and approachable. Every fiber of my being sparked to life at the mere glimpse of him. He caught sight of me, our eyes intertwining in a moment of connection. His lips held a quiet silence. I quickly turned my eyes away, pretending to concentrate on the papers in my hands. His footsteps resonated in the stillness, a prelude to the moment when his voice shattered the quietude. "Are you lending a hand today?" he asked with an air of casual curiosity. I gazed upward, an eternal promise in my heart. He lingered by the door, arms crossed, his gaze locked onto me, an enigmatic expression playing on his face. "Well, what a surprise to see you here." Likewise. A pause in time. "I've left something for you," I said with a furrowed brow. "What's that?" With a flourish, he pulled a crumpled note from the depths of his jacket, setting it delicately on the edge of the table. A brief inquiry, "That's all." I restrained myself. I turned my attention to his fingers instead. They paused, leaning against the sturdy wood. A single moment unfurled, expanding into the vastness of eternity. "Messages might have been dispatched," I commented, pretending to be unconcerned. "You interrupted me," he answered with elegance. "Just the essence of reality." I remained quiet. He stepped back, his eyes fixed intently on mine. "Take care of yourself." He disappeared into thin air. A soft breath of cologne dances through the atmosphere, clear and sharp, with a whisper of steel. For a full minute, I lingered, contemplating before my hand finally moved towards the paper. It was a simple affair. His writing flowed quickly, yet remained unmistakably clear. "Would you be open to another meeting just to have a conversation? Without a name, time's up. Embrace a gentle pace." I carefully tucked it away, my heart racing as though I had just crossed an invisible boundary. As I traversed the path back home, I kept whispering to myself the importance of silence. I had crossed the line. The conclusion was inevitable. As the moon cast its gentle glow, I found myself reaching for the note again while my husband lay peacefully asleep beside me. In the soft glow of my bedside lamp, I immersed myself in a world of words. In an instant, I found myself crafting a reply on the back, almost as if it were second nature. "Indeed, once upon a time. And so it is." Rest slipped through my fingers. My dreams danced with a tapestry of fragmented visions. His face loomed too close. From a distance, I can hear the familiar resonance of my husband's voice, weaving through the air like a gentle melody. With a sudden tear, the paper slices through the stillness, a sharp whisper breaking the quietude. As I opened my eyes to the world, a profound emptiness enveloped me, as though the very essence of my being had been meticulously stripped away. As I slipped the note into the envelope, I felt a sense of anticipation wash over me. With a gentle motion, I placed it in the mailbox by his building, all while savouring the quiet of my morning stroll. I continued my journey, not pausing for a response. I pondered whether he would ever uncover it. I persuaded myself that it was of no consequence. 2 days later, a message arrived through a mutual acquaintance. A character from the course. A wandering messenger bearing mysterious treasures yet to be revealed. A gentle push. On Friday, as the clock strikes 4, he will find himself at the cafe nestled by the park. If you find yourself inclined to pay a visit. I wish I hadn't gone. I had knowledge of that dot at last. The day arrived. As I stood before the mirror, I slipped into a long-forgotten blouse. The fabric whispering tales of days gone by. Soft, soothing fabric. Brief neckline. Fabric wrapped around my arms. I chose earrings that danced softly with every turn of my head. I adorned myself with a scent meant for extraordinary moments. Upon stepping into the cafe, a flutter of nerves danced in my stomach, but my hands held steady. Betraying none of the turmoil within, he settled into a quaint little table by the window. Already in the moment, a steaming cup of coffee stands ready, inviting him to take a moment and savor its warmth. His phone rested in silence. As I approached, he lifted his gaze, and for the first time, a fresh spark ignited in his eyes. There shall be no mischief. Devoid of confidence, yet a feeling reminiscent of appreciation. Greetings, I observed, easing into the chair opposite him. At long last, you have come. I made a vow, and I shall keep it. He nodded, his gaze locked onto mine. There's a transformation in your visage. Distinctively uplifting. He flashed a cunning smile. Incredibly. The conversation started off awkwardly. We shared fleeting words. The metamorphosis of the town was nothing short of remarkable. The atmosphere. A chapter at a design firm. Yet beneath each word, the space between us pulsed with unspoken truths. With each lean, my breath caught in my throat. Every time his knee brushed against mine under the table, my words began to unravel like threads pulled from a tapestry. The kiss lingered in the air, a silent promise between them. I didn't too. As I reached for my coat, he noted, you never quite answered the second question. I remained motionless. What question follows this one? Our gazes intertwined, a moment suspended in time. Do you long for a tale to unfold once more? I looked at him, my heart pounding with excitement. I kept it to myself, he added. Still, I have faith that you noticed it all the same. I stood up, smoothing the front of my coat with deliberate attention. What leads you to think I haven't replied yet? He tilted his head. Your presence lingers on. The golden rays of the setting sun bathed the pavement in a warm, shimmering glow. The air turned crisp, while my skin danced with warmth beneath the fabric. I walked home with determination, my gaze set firmly forward. As the night enveloped the world outside, I stood before the mirror once again, preparing to drift into slumber. The earring swayed gently, a delicate whisper against my ears. I slipped off my blouse, folding it with care, and placed it gently in the drawer. A secret kept safe. From the bedroom, my husband called out, curious if I had remembered to turn off the lights downstairs. With a heart full of hesitation, I found myself nodding in agreement. I nestled into bed beside him, the aroma of the cafe still hanging in the air, the resonance of a question resolved not through speech, but through the essence of my being. And I came to a realization. I never meant to be gone for long. I never said I would make an appearance. There was silence, an absence of reassurance, and no justification for any hesitation I might have felt. On a Saturday morning, as I loaded the dishwasher, my thoughts drifted to the ensemble I would wear. The thought came to me unexpectedly, as routine as glancing at the weather or pondering the state of our milk supply. Natural. Effortless. Treacherous. He lingered in my thoughts ever since our fateful meeting at the cafe. His question danced in the corners of my thoughts. It hung in my thoughts like a fog, softening the edges of what was once so clear. As I moved through my day, it felt like I was gliding along on autopilot, tending to the laundry, checking off tasks, and sharing light-hearted conversations with my neighbors. Yet beneath, a presence stirred, unburdened by guilt. There is no shame, only the intensifying pulse of anticipation. As the clock approached noon, I stood before my wardrobe, caught in a dilemma of whether to dress for my own desires or to please him. I chose white. An old blouse that had remained untouched for years. It caressed my skin with a gentle, airy touch. I paired it with fitted jeans, subtle heels, and a coat I wore for those moments when I wanted to be seen. Ignored. Understood. I shared with my husband the tale of my upcoming coffee rendezvous with a friend. His eyes were locked onto the screen. As if it held the secrets of the universe, he asked when I would be back for dinner. I shared my doubts. This time, the cafe lay at a greater distance. This is not the familiar setting we usually find ourselves in. Beyond the familiar confines of our dwelling, a harmonious backdrop, an air of sophistication. More muted, I stepped inside to find him already settled in, to cup stand ready for him. His smile arrived a moment later with a fleeting gaze. They swept over me, starting from the crown and descending to my feet, only to return to my face once more. The gaze found its way deep into my soul. He commented on your pristine attire. I settled into my chair. You sought it out without even asking. You remained quiet. He held his coffee tightly. I watched his hands, remembering how they gripped the edge of the counter before. We exchanged a few words. Each day unfolds as it always does, gently brushing against the fringes of purity. As we sat together, I felt his leg brush against mine beneath the table. We remained motionless. Unexpected. And then, what unfolded? Maybe it was. Maybe we had quietly agreed in the hush of the moment that it had arrived long before we were ready to admit it. He ascended to the pinnacle. He asserted that he possessed a secret waiting to be unveiled. A gallery close by, a pop-up event, he declared. I followed closely behind. Not from conviction, but from longing. A short walk, just a simple circuit through the neighborhood. Yet with each step, my breath became increasingly shallow. He steered clear of any connection, casting only the briefest of glances in my direction. The air was thick with tension, a vibrant energy that surged between us. The gallery remained closed, its door sealed tight. He paused before it, throwing a sideways look in my direction. A sly grin danced at the edges of his lips. What a disappointment. I leaned back against the wall, my arms folded across my chest. You always sensed it was destined to be. Perhaps, indeed. A lingering silence. He drew nearer. Just a single one. His hand gently swept a strand of hair from my cheek, lingering in that tender moment. His thumb gently caressed my jawline. At a gentle pace. Deliberate. I released him into the world. I chose to make my presence known. He wove his words into the air. I whispered softly. Therefore, refrain from doing so. This kiss lingered, savouring each moment without haste. It unfolded slowly, like a whisper from the past rather than a sudden insight. His lips brushed against mine with a confident grace, lingering in the moment without urgency. My hands discovered his chest, fingers entwined with the fabric. I journeyed through every moment. His breath lingered in the air, a pulsating rhythm that danced with the chill. The intensity that bound us no longer asked for consent. Silence reigned between them. Words would merely dilute its true essence. We meandered our way back to the cafe. I hovered in the shadows, holding back from reaching out. My heart raced as though I had been running for an eternity. He cast a fleeting glance in my direction, just a single time. He experienced it too. The kiss carried a depth beyond mere warmth. It held deep meaning. As I stepped into my vehicle, I embarked on the journey back home. The white blouse embraced my skin, a lingering echo of memories past. The atmosphere within the home hung heavy and still. My husband set the scene, lighting the candles and pouring the wine with a flourish. His smile welcomed me, a proud recognition of his gesture. He painted a picture of a delightful dinner we could savor together. Time has flowed like a river, carrying moments with it. I stood in the doorway, watching as time flowed past me like a gentle stream. The stark difference struck me deeply. His effort shines with a comforting glow. His voice carried a soothing warmth. I yearned for a feeling, a deep appreciation, affection, and even a touch of regret. A void lingered within me. I slipped into more comfortable attire and rinsed the fragrance from my wrists before settling down. He recounted his week to me, filled with job troubles and plans for future gatherings. He asked, listening intently as I shared my words. As his fingers grazed mine across the table, I found myself yielding completely. After dinner, we quietly gathered the plates. He stayed by the wash basin, his arms wrapped around my waist. I felt a surge of tension. Just a gentle touch. He pressed his lips to my neck, murmuring sweetly of desire. I summoned a smile, likewise. We settled down for the night at an early hour. He extended his hand towards me once more. This time, I responded. I met their kiss with my own, let him gently unveil my layers, one by one. I pondered the possibility of bridging the gap. Envision a realm where harmony reigns supreme. Still, the parallels lingered on. Their lips intertwined in a tender embrace. He sways to a rhythm all his own. His hands, intimate with my form, had ceased to ask for permission. I lay awake, my fingers tracing invisible trails on my thigh as he drifted into slumber. The atmosphere was heavy with reminiscences, shared creations, recognizable motifs, freshly pressed. I yearned for the mysteries that lay beyond the horizon. For the first time, I surrendered to the pull of my longing. The truth was simpler than it seemed. I needed it, not the thrill. Cast aside the veil of mystery. A yearning for a flicker of vitality stirred within me once again. He caressed that part of me as if it were the only gem worth safeguarding. I closed my eyes and discovered a void of dreams. I had already begun to feel it unfolding. Some mornings unfolded softly and emptily. Like a pristine canvas eager for its inaugural brushstroke, that Monday was unforgettable. As the first light of dawn approached, I stirred. The sky above resembling a bruise of blue and gray. My husband nestled beside me. Yet he lingered in the realm of dreams. I watched the ebb and flow of his back, contemplating the myriad reflections of myself he believed he grasped, and the countless ones that slipped further into the distance, unseen. As I stepped into the shower, he lay peacefully in slumber. I remained under the searing water, sensing its sharp embrace on my shoulders, flowing over my chest, and cascading down my thighs. I pressed my forehead against the cool tile, lost in the memory of that kiss exchanged with someone just outside the gallery 2 days ago. Contemplated my yearning yet again, not the moment itself, but the feelings it awakened within me. Undeniable. In the bedroom, I lingered at my pants drawer. I ventured past the well-known cotton and beige lace. I uncovered something extraordinary. A vibrant crimson ensemble. Soft murmurs of silk. It offered no solace. A decision was reached. That morning, I selected my outfit with careful consideration, with a newfound purpose that had eluded me for months. A black skirt embraced my hips with a bold confidence. A cozy top that revealed my collarbones, a coat casually thrown over my shoulders. He inquired of me once, without words, suggesting the essence that enveloped me. At this very moment, it adorns me. Not for the question, but for the resonance of his voice in that fleeting moment. I shared with my husband the details of my errands. I gently placed my lips against his cheek in the quiet corridor. His aroma danced in the air, a captivating fusion of shaving cream and the bright notes of citrus zest. He smiled, a glimmer of warmth in his eyes, as if he held dear the beauty found in the ordinary moments of life. The venue was devoid of any charm, a bustling highway rest stop. Only 20 minutes to go. He casually brought it up in a message the night before. A small exhibit beckons at the Heritage Museum, perhaps a compelling rationale. I came to understand that it went beyond the mere craft. As I arrived, his car was there, waiting for me. He leaned back against it, fingers hidden, secrets kept. With sunglasses resting casually on his head, he seemed to embody a vibrant energy, full of life and promise, with unwavering certainty and a sense of assurance all at once. My body reacted in ways I loathed, long before my mind could grasp the situation. "You came," he said, stepping forward. "Indeed," I responded. We meandered through the museum, each exhibit whispering tales of the past, wandering through chambers adorned with time-worn farming implements and evocative photographs from the past. We barely cast our eyes upon them, two souls drifting along the currents of existence, walking a road of apathy, constricting each inhalation. He maintained a careful distance. Yet, I felt it stirring within me. Words lingered in the air. Eyes danced with intrigue. His presence lingered, ever so close, like a whisper in the air. A tiny video installation played in a continuous loop. The Last Chamber, a cinematic journey through the lost tracks of history, rarely glimpsed by the audience. We dwelled in the twilight, hidden from view. "This is driving me crazy," he exclaimed. His voice resonated with a deep, unwavering strength. "Your presence lingers in my mind, a constant echo that never fades." I consumed the ground that shifted ever so slightly beneath my feet, refrained from taking that action. "You shouldn't either," he replied. And thus, it stands. Silence lingered in the air, a void where words should have been exchanged. I edged in nearer. He held his tongue, allowing the moment to linger in the air. I leaped into action. Driven by instinct alone, this kiss was unlike any that had come before. A dearth of amazement. Not a single one. Heat and hunger intertwined in a fierce embrace. Months of restraint breaking apart in a single moment. His hand gently grazed my back. A shiver dances through the fabric, fingers softly tracing the gentle arch of my back. Then, with a steady hand, applying pressure just above my hips, I pressed my lips against his. A surge of passion igniting between us. I longed to bridge the chasm between who I once was and the person I am becoming. He pulled back, inhaling deeply, unsteady, his brow touching my own. "If we continue down this path," he murmured softly, "you'll find it hard to walk away." "I truly do not," I replied. We paused, savoring the quietude around us. We stepped out of the museum, enveloped in a hush that spoke volumes. The wind lingered beyond the threshold. My coat danced in the breeze, and I embraced it, unbothered by the stares that surrounded me. I settled into the car, my hands resting in my lap as I gazed out the window, lost in thought. He navigated the road at a leisurely pace, one hand firmly clutching the wheel, the other lingered close to the gear shift, just beside my knee. As the crimson signal flickered, he finally found his voice. "What do you say to embarking on an adventure next weekend?" Just a single day separates us from this place, I confronted him. Why not? I yearned to stand beside you, true to myself without reservation. In that moment, I paused, weighing my words carefully before I spoke. Ideas danced in a whirlwind of logistics, risks, and stories eager to be told. Yet, my heart had softly murmured its consent. On the porch, my husband sat, eagerly anticipating my return that evening. With a wine glass in one hand and a fresh novel in the other, he welcomed the evening with open arms. He asked me how my day had unfolded. I noted that it was quite extensive. He gently pressed his lips to my forehead, murmuring that dinner was almost ready. Once again, the soft glow of candlelight sets the scene for an intimate dinner. He shared his admiration for my engagement in the community. He commented that I looked breathtaking in black. A smile blossomed upon my lips. That night, he came to find me in the quiet of the night. Where dreams and whispers intertwined, I permitted it. His hands moved with a graceful precision, each motion intentional and thoughtful. I responded with brevity. I crafted the ideal melodies, making certain my body remained cozy beneath his. Yet, within, I found myself in a realm entirely of my own making. In that dimly lit corner of the gallery, silk caressed my skin, a foreign mouth upon my own. A voice, unique and resonant, beckoning my name as though it carried great meaning. I nestled into myself, my eyes tracing the patterns of the ceiling above. No tears fell. No guilt lingered. I felt as though I was just drifting in a state of wakefulness. Next weekend, I shall embark on my journey. I simply felt it in my bones. In the days that followed, I moved exactly as expected. The dinner has been prepared, the towels neatly folded, and the emails have been addressed. Once upon a time, I embarked on a journey to the dentist, gathered my freshly cleaned garments, and lovingly filled the bird feeder that graced my outdoor haven. To an outsider, I seemed content. One morning, as we sat together over breakfast, my husband casually brought it up. It has been observed that I seem to shine with a greater intensity, displaying a heightened level of engagement. His words flowed like a gentle stream, accompanied by a warm smile. I met the smile with one of my own. I was weaving the fabric of solace into my very being, yet within, I roamed to distant realms. Once again, I found myself wandering through that familiar hallway. His lips met mine in a tender embrace. His fingers glided along my spine. In the passenger seat, I observed the trees blur past, each one a fleeting moment as we raced towards an unknown destination. In a concealed world, I discovered my true self. As I lingered in that place, it gradually revealed itself as my genuine sanctuary, though I hadn't put it in writing. A deep sense of certainty washed over me that I would be by his side that weekend. It was never about escaping. It was not an act of rebellion. It was a moment of profound clarity. I encountered a version of myself that was foreign yet captivating, and I found it hard to say goodbye to her. As I readied myself for what was to come, I whispered to my heart the importance of tidying up the loose ends at home, or at the very least, crafting the facade of order. With a knowing smile, I proposed dinner reservations for Saturday. Fully aware that we wouldn't actually go, I shared with my husband that I was considering a visit to my sister in the city. He nodded, his mind adrift in contemplation, steering clear of any additional inquiries. Perhaps he sensed it lurking just beneath the surface, yet quickly shrouded it from view. Thursday unveiled her presence. Her son, my dear companion. She invited me to share a meal with her, as calm and easygoing as always. She wove tales of the well-known subjects. Her tasks loomed like a mountain, each one a chapter waiting to be unraveled, a journey on the horizon, a dish ripe for exploration. She chose to leave him in silence, not a chance. He took his time exploring every nook and cranny of that house. The delicate whisper of his scent lingered on the couch pillows. His shoes rested quietly by the back door, as if waiting for the next chapter to unfold. His voice echoed in my thoughts, drawing my gaze back to the hallway time and again. With a gentle smile, she offered me a steaming cup of coffee. I consented. My hands trembled slightly as I lifted the cup. I persuaded myself it was just caffeine. Just as I was preparing to depart, she graciously walked with me to the door. As she inquired if all was well, a subtle shift graced her voice, utterly transparent. Captivated. Perhaps even gentle. I smiled a bit too quickly. Indeed. What could possibly be the reason? She tilted her head, her gaze lingering on me in a moment that seemed to stretch infinitely. Then she observed, "You appear to have changed lately. It appears you are lost in contemplation." I let out a soft laugh, feeling the tension build. "Perhaps I am." Her fingers glided softly over my arm. Deep reflection may invite danger. As I left her abode, a sense of unexpected vulnerability washed over me. Her words resonated in my thoughts throughout the journey home. Deep reflection can usher in danger. She wandered through her days, blissfully oblivious to the world around her. Perhaps she did indeed. Women possess an innate ability to sense shifts in the atmosphere, even when they find it challenging to articulate those feelings. On that fateful night, I collected a handful of essentials. Once again, I brought up my sister to my husband. I pressed my lips to his in a tender goodnight, then settled beside him in the enveloping darkness, my eyes wide and my heart pounding against the mattress beneath me. As the first light of dawn broke, he set forth on his journey to work. 15 minutes slipped away after the door closed, then I adorned myself in attire. I slipped into the familiar red lingerie once more, a dress that feels foreign to the touch. Brief and elegant footwear, a whisper of makeup lying dormant for months. I experienced a profound sense of disconnection from my very essence. I mirrored a forgotten chapter of my existence. He gathered me at the edge of the town. In the beginning, there was an all-encompassing silence. We glided through the open road, windows down, our hair dancing in the breeze. Gentle tunes floated through the air from the radio, unremarkable. As we journeyed towards the next city, he gently grasped my hand. I granted him the opportunity to seize it. I peered through the window, gripping firmly. We lingered in a charming seaside village. Quiettude. Unassuming. As we stepped into the bed and breakfast. The air was rich with the delicate notes of lavender and the crispness of salt. The desk attendant asked about our celebration. He nodded in agreement. I allowed it to remain as it was. The narrow streets called out, inviting exploration. The call of lunch by the water beckoned. A bottle of wine savoured under the shelter of a canvas umbrella. He asked questions that had never crossed his mind until now. As I look back on my younger days, I recall the misadventures and the dreams that fueled my restless nights. I shared my truth, not out of obligation, but to finally share my truth. His focus was keen. An extraordinary fervor, a sensation long forgotten. He let out a hearty laugh at my cleverness, interrogated my uncertainties. As my knee brushed against the table, a sudden gasp escaped my lips, caught off guard by the unexpected touch. On that day, our lips lingered in silence, untouched by the warmth of connection. We maintained a relaxed atmosphere, always steering clear of deeper connections, and so, a bond began to weave itself between us. Steadfast and assured, that night at the inn, I found myself captivated by the reflection in the mirror. I shed my dress, staring at my reflection as though it were an unveiling of secrets untold. A soft knock resonated through the bedroom door. With a moment of pause, I gathered my thoughts before replying. I gently placed my fingers on my belly, closed my eyes, shouldered the weight of every decision that led me to this very instant. At long last, I turned the handle and stepped through the threshold. He remained silent, lost in thought, void of emotion. In the stillness, a voice emerges. I stepped aside, allowing him to pass through. We stood unscathed. We perched on the edge of the bed, our shoulders brushing against one another. The atmosphere enveloping us pulsed with energy. I have no desire to ruin your existence, he declared suddenly. I stood before him. Therefore, refrain from doing so. His gaze lingered on me, unyielding and profound. He proclaimed his desire for abundance. Uncertainty hung in the air. Was it time, a deeper part of myself? Or perhaps something entirely different? I gave a nod. That night, as we lay side by side, fully clothed, sharing whispers in the dark, I came to understand a truth I had long evaded. Surpassed the tangible. It was never so. It spun a tale of acknowledgement. Understood. Chosen. In that small, borrowed space, far from the familiar, I felt a connection stir within me once again. Not for him. To no one for me. This was destined to be the concluding chapter. The unspoken agreement hung in the air. A silent presence woven into the pauses of our conversation, a fleeting getaway. A swift escape, then we would return to our individual journeys. I found myself engaged in conversation with my husband. To my cherished traditions. To the safety of the structure. He waited for any hint of normalcy that might come after me. As we parted ways on Sunday, his kiss on my hand and the way he held the door, accompanied by a gentle touch on my back, unveiled the beginning of a deeper connection. By Monday morning, I had seamlessly returned to the rhythm of home life. At 7:10, the kettle began to serenade the morning with its melodic tune. The washer whirred at 8:15. At precisely 9, the neighbor's dog let out a bark, as if it were following a script. Yet I felt myself moving through it all as though I were a strange vessel, navigating uncharted waters. My movements were deliberate. My smiles flowed naturally. With a gentle kiss on my cheek, my husband showered me with compliments about my hair and proposed that we conjure up some plans. For the weekend ahead, I proposed that we hold our horses and observe how the week reveals its tale. He restrained himself. Yet, the part of me that had come alive in that tranquil coastal town, that had exchanged quiet breaths beside him in bed, would not be hushed. He had left behind a piece of me that I had never understood was so vital. Now I carried it like a secret woven into the very fabric of my being. 3 days passed, silent as whispers in the night. In the stillness, a hush envelops the air, devoid of calls or greetings. Surprise swept over me like a sudden gust of wind. I persuaded myself that I needed the room to breathe. I enveloped myself in it, soft and pristine. A warm and reassuring hug. As Thursday arrived, the quiet began to transform. The vast expanse of space had simply ceased to exist. It weighed heavily upon me, a relentless, aching discomfort settled deep within my spine, growing stronger with every passing hour of his quietude. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I found myself meandering without purpose. I roamed through streets I knew well, yet they felt oddly unfamiliar amidst the shops, the glowing street lights, and the carefully trimmed hedges. A scene unfolds. Everything felt lackluster, like mere props in a play of a life I had long since surpassed. The soft click of heels echoed on the pavement, leading me towards the park. My heart had no desire to venture into that place. My feet guided me forward, seated upon a bench along the winding path. I found myself lingering beneath the bare, skeletal branches of the trees. As the leaves began to turn, the gentle murmurs of autumn floated through the air. Verdant leaves glisten with dew, while a faint scent of concealed flames dances in the air. Wrapped in my coat, I sat still, taking in the distant symphony of joggers' footsteps, barking dogs, and fragments of conversations floating by. In that moment, my gaze fell upon him. He was drifting away from me. Not a single look was cast in my direction. He lingered by the pond. Hence, hidden from view, I watched the gentle ripples of the water, a sight that pierced the heart with its beauty. I remained motionless. I paused, my breath caught in my chest, yet a soft murmur of instinct began to awaken inside him. A concealed connection, a stream of concentration. He turned, and our eyes met in a moment that felt electric. His lips held a quiet silence. With a steady stride, he made his way forward. It lingered beside me, as though it had been orchestrated, as if every detail had been meticulously fulfilled. "I never expected to see you," he said, a hint of surprise in his voice. I looked at him, uncertainty swirling within me. "What tale has led you to this moment?" He simply shrugged, a gesture that spoke volumes without uttering a single word. "From time to time, I find myself wandering here, lost in thought." "And what about you?" In a similar fashion, he cast a fleeting look in my direction. "Trickster." I exhaled, a sound that danced between laughter and a cry, depending on the ear that caught it. Quietude wrapped around us as we remained in tranquil pause. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow upon his face. In that light, he seemed to carry the weight of years, not from age, but from a depth carved into his expression. A deep longing, perhaps, or a revelation. He broke the silence first. "As the week draws to a close, I shall take my leave. A job offer has come my way in the vibrant city of Denver." A heaviness settled inside me, like a stone plunging into the depths of water. "Until when, my friend?" I asked. He shook his head, a look of disbelief washing over his face. In a haze of ambiguity. "Maybe for all eternity." I shifted my gaze. My throat tightened. "That is drawing near with great speed." It was never my plan to reveal this. I thought it would make things easier. "Who stands to gain?" A hush enveloped the scene. With a deliberate motion, he reached into the depths of his coat pocket and pulled out a carefully folded note. He kept it from me. He gently took hold of it with his fingers. "If you desire to encounter me once more before my departure," he declared, placing the note gently on the bench that lay between us. "The decision rests solely in your hands." I cast my eyes upon the note. The breeze tugged at its fringe, yet I grasped the corner tightly with my fingers. He rose, pausing for a moment. With a firm conviction, he declared that he held no regrets, yet I stood my ground. Determined not to be merely another hidden tale, he pivoted and departed. The note captivated my attention. I kept it shut, not just yet. I sat on that bench, watching as the sky transformed into a deep violet, while the lamp slowly flickered to life, illuminating the evening one by one. As it was revealed, the essence of simplicity came to light: a place, a fleeting instant, and 3 words that linger. None needed. I tucked it away in my coat pocket and meandered home, taking my time more than I typically would. That night, rest slipped through my fingers like sand. I lay beside my husband in harmony with the gentle cadence of his breath. I beheld the silhouette of his hand resting on the blanket, the soft trace of his wedding ring telling a silent tale. I delved deep into my thoughts, recalling the final night we shared in heartfelt conversation. He last touched me as if he were adrift in the moment. I contemplated if he ever truly understood the extent to which I had diminished, even in his presence. As the dawn broke, he leaned in and pressed his lips to mine. A tender farewell before embarking on his day's journey to work. He asked if there was anything I desired from the store. "Absolutely not." He set off on his journey, As I lingered at the kitchen table, the note lay before me, my fingers dancing over the handwriting time and again, yearning to unveil a hidden truth, though I felt a sense of hesitation about attending. I was keenly aware of this inner conflict. His presence had become impossible to overlook. It was impossible for me to pretend that it didn't matter. Life's moments often arrive like unexpected guests, catching us off guard. The paper embraced my fingers, resonating with the warmth of his caress. The handwriting, familiar and exact, gracefully slanted, held a steady rhythm. It could have belonged to me. With a keen eye, I examined the address again, then glanced at the clock. On a Saturday afternoon, as the clock strikes 4, just a single line. Stripped of feeling or request, a door ajar, revealing just a sliver of what lies beyond. If I decide to embark on that journey, it will be guided by my own choices. Throughout the day, I sensed as though I was enveloped in a deep, unyielding sea with a deft hand. I folded the towels thrice, only to refold them twice more. Ensuring each crease was perfect, I meandered through the rooms, cradling a mug of tea, now lukewarm and left behind in the passage of time. No tears fell, no panic set in. What I encountered was fleeting, challenging to express. A whisper of sorrow, not for what I would part with, but for the essence of myself that I could no longer inhabit. I imagined keeping my distance. I rehearsed the tales I would share with my own heart. It had a sense of authenticity, yet it was fleeting. A passing ailment, a hidden truth to guard yet not pursue. I yearned for the embrace of familiarity, the soft dimming of emotions, the tranquil quietude of a bond shaped over time by the whispers left unuttered. I would truly strive to wipe away the recollection of being wanted without any ties binding me. Yet, the deeper I delved into that existence, the more I sensed the confines closing in around me. That evening, I found myself nestled in bed beside my husband. He read quietly, the soft glow of the lamp casting a gentle light upon his features. His lips danced softly, following the contours of the page, hand resting on thigh, a finger tucked between the chapters. I found it challenging to remember the feeling of his touch without making any comparisons. I yearned for the warmth that lingered in my memories of him. I stumbled upon it, a distant memory, yet so vivid, capturing the essence of our formative years. His breath danced softly against my neck. His voice quivered softly as he confided that he felt unworthy of me. I extinguished the light and nestled into a cozy position on my side. He arrived just moments later, his arm brushing softly against mine. A hush wrapped around us. He gently placed his lips on my shoulder. His mind wandering in a distant realm, I lay awake, eyes wide, listening to his breath as the first light of dawn crept through the blinds. The next day revealed itself gently, just as planned. I moved through my day as if it were a carefully choreographed performance. Each step seamlessly woven into the rhythm of the routine, gathering provisions, exchanging messages, pausing at traffic signals. I turned my eyes away from the note once again. There's no necessity for that. The address lingered vividly in my thoughts. On Saturday, I shared with my husband that I needed some time alone. I spoke of wandering through an art exhibit, perhaps followed by a delightful pause at a bookshop. His lips softly grazed my temple. Take your time, he urged. I most certainly did. With a gentle hush, I slipped away from the town. In the stillness, a void emerges as the path ahead fades into obscurity. The journey seemed familiar, yet the destination remained a mystery. My hold on the wheel was steady. Yet, a tempest swirled within me, something deeper than simple anxiety. It revealed itself. This tale had shifted beyond his grasp. This was my tale. The house stood quietly, a tranquil presence at the edge of the woods. Secluded, yet within reach, unmistakably a rental. Ephemeral, come, be a part of our journey. The gravel crunched beneath my tires as I made my way into the driveway. Each sound a whisper of the journey ahead. I paused for a moment, the engine hushed. A key held tightly in my grasp. At long last, I broke free. He flung the door open just as my hand reached out. Stillness enveloped the space between us. Not just yet. I glided past him into a room awash in gentle afternoon light, a modest place, a cozy couch. Books stacked high on the table and a half-zipped bag resting by the window, waiting for the next adventure. It felt devoid of vitality. He chose not to add any flourishes, provided me comfort. He hovered just behind me, a mere breath away, remaining untouched. Just the act of breathing in. I didn't expect to see you here, he finally confessed. I almost didn't, and yet, you did. I stood before him. Indeed. The silence that lingered between us had transformed. Bright and transparent, brimming with untold tales. I sat on the edge of the couch, ready to dive into the unfolding tale. He took his place next to me, keeping a deliberate distance between us. His hand hovered over the cushion that stood between us. With a palm facing downward, a present, not a plea. I'm at a loss for what this signifies, I responded. Likewise. Today unfolds like a riddle waiting to be unraveled. I shall not ask that of you. We remained in quiet contemplation. Our very being hangs thickly in the atmosphere. At last, I settled back, releasing a long, deep sigh. This is a fresh experience for me, I confessed. Misled. Selected by me. It brought a soft, bittersweet smile to his face. He leaned in, finally taking my hand in his grasp. His thumb glided gently over my wrist, echoing the tender moments when his fingers had brushed against my jaw in the warmth of the kitchen. Before the world turned upside down. I want you to understand, he said. This does not need to change to carry meaning. It holds significance now, I asserted. That's the crux of the matter. He gently pressed his lips to mine. Not urgent. Not feeling the call of the culinary delights. Indeed. And I met the kiss with my own. We lounged on the couch, lost in the moment, limbs entwined, a hush surrounds us. My head finds solace upon his chest, his fingers danced softly over my arm, weaving a tapestry of gentle, soothing motions. Conversations yet to come were nowhere to be found. We never uttered a word about goodbyes. We simply existed, united. Stopped in its tracks. He finally inquired whether I would care to spend the night. I shook my head. As I make my way back, the familiar path unfolds before me. He held his tongue with a gentle hand. He led me to my car. His hand lingered at the small of my back, a gesture that felt destined. As if it were always meant to be. The sky hung heavy, a dark and bruised fruit. Ripe with untold tales, I pushed the door ajar, paused for a moment and locked my eyes onto him. Would you be so kind as to give me a call? I asked. That is what you seek. No reply was provided. With a decisive step, I crossed the threshold, closed the door behind me, and set off into the distance. That night, I made my way back home. The porch light continues to shine brightly. To the husband who stayed a while longer, bestowing a soft kiss and asking about the evening meal, I responded to him. A grin spread across my face. I asked him how his day went. I nestled into bed beside him. Even as I returned to my familiar routine, echoes of him remained, weaving through my thoughts like a delicate thread of nostalgia. For the first time, I felt complete. I experienced a profound sense of wholeness. For a brief moment in time, I once believed that returning was akin to wiping the slate clean. Coming back to this life, this house, this marriage felt like an opportunity to rewrite the past. As if his absence held the power to cleanse our very being. Yet, I have uncovered a deeper understanding. One never returns unchanged. You gather treasures from afar, quiet pauses, concealed marvels. A momentary glance, a flickering flame, a name lingers quietly on your lips. In a remarkable way, you manage to fit them into the small spaces that exist between the act of making the bed and the ritual of pouring coffee. Like hidden gems waiting to be discovered, the days that followed rolled out in a monotonous rhythm. A sameness that felt foreign to me after months of vibrant chaos. They were completely unbearable. The scent of basil danced with the fragrance of dish soap in the kitchen. The radio hummed gently, sharing the comforting whispers of familiar news. My husband asked about the books that remain untouched and the films that have yet to grace our screens. I responded with subtle nods, elusive answers, and smiles that were perfectly timed. I shared the truth, but not in the conventional manner. The silence spoke volumes, revealing truths that words could never capture. In the stillness, I clung to his last glimpse, framed in the doorway of the rented house. His hands lingered, a warmth resonating from my touch. His face held a stillness, as if he were carving a hidden truth deep within his thoughts. It was a request he would never dream of making of me. I never claimed he shouldn't reach out. I had not given him any instructions to do that. He chose not to. I persuaded myself that this was the right choice. Everything that needed to be conveyed was conveyed. As the seconds faded into the ether, that moment eluded grasp. Or perhaps it had discovered its tranquility. In a quiet, forgotten corner of the universe, as particles danced and settled, my friend reached out to me one fateful afternoon. Her beloved child. Her voice held steady, unwavering through the passage of time. Warm and inviting. Polished. Filled with a lively spirit that pushed conversations ahead, never letting inquiries hang in the air. He set forth on his journey. She wove her words into the air. In the heart of the Rockies lies a city known as Denver. The door of possibility swung open. Departed by Monday following a weekend of preparations. Ah. You knew, didn't you? Indeed. I hurried my words. Are you all right? She asked. The inquiry struck me as peculiar, considering I wasn't the one bidding farewell. Everything is well. With a moment of uncertainty, she pressed on. He spoke of the warmth you showed him. Her voice carried a tone that was neither harsh nor probing. Merely here. A proclamation rose, uttered to resonate in the atmosphere. Hopes held high. I shared my words. I put forth my best effort. The call came to an unexpected end. She restrained herself. I pondered her words for hours. In a moment of grace, you extended your hand to him with kindness. I longed for the sound of joy. Kindness felt insufficient. Not as I had tenderly embraced him, she longed for him, taken from us. Perhaps it was. I never sought to claim him as my own. To seek him in that quietude where no soul possessed another. All around me, it was as if the universe was beckoning, urging me to embrace life in its fullest. Vibrant form. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye, onwards to the next tale. Silence hung in the air. I held back from putting pen to paper. It wasn't that I was devoid of longing. Yet, what we forged could not be reshaped again. Distance was never meant to be the goal or tale. Flourished for a fleeting moment in time. Brief and to the point, fiery. Complete in its incompleteness. One evening, my husband found me outside, with a wine glass in hand. Long after the sun has dipped below the horizon, he stepped out onto the porch, supported by the railing. Fix your quiet gaze upon me for just a moment. You have undergone a remarkable change. He began to weave his words. In hushed whispers. I looked up. How so? In a state of uncertainty. Just once, your voice danced through the air, but now it has faded into quiettude. Not azure. Merely in another place. Silence lingered in the air. In that moment, uncertainty wrapped around me like a thick fog, leaving me to ponder my next steps. I longed to unveil everything, yet felt the urge to keep it all hidden away. He was pure of heart. I found myself untangled in the emptiness of a longing I hadn't recognized until it reemerged. He took his place beside me. Our hands met. I come to understand that I've let moments fade into the background. He recounted, I thought you found pleasure in the quiet moments. Perhaps we linger in this state. He recognized the moment. The mere idea of losing you is unbearable to me. I confronted him. He seemed worn, though not from the passage of time or hard labor. Delving deep into the essence of my being. Unearthing the remnants of what I have long cast aside on the surface. I'm still present. I shared my words. It was the truth. Yet he had not fully unraveled the layers of my being either. I have outgrown the confines of a single space. I lived in pieces of moments. I now choose my lingerie with intention. Even in solitude. As I stepped into the room, a world of possibilities unfolded before me. Completely aware of my existence. Not for its outward charm, yet the feeling remained echoing in the air. The manner in which I tenderly embraced my husband. Not from a sense of duty, however, by choice, deliberate and calm. Even as my mind occasionally drifted away, on that night, we rediscovered one another. Weaving our paths together once more. With an aura I haven't experienced in ages. He shed tears in the aftermath. Not shedding a tear, only soft, silent tears that collected and cascaded down. He held me with a stronger grasp than ever. It felt like he could perceive a shift in the air. A silent transformation lingers in the air between us. I released him from my grasp. I welcomed his embrace. I permitted him to cling to whatever tale he needed. In that moment, I discovered myself solitary within the confines of the bathroom. The glass reveals only the contours of my being. I held no contempt for myself. I, too, found it difficult to embrace my own worth. Yet, I held on to the core of my being. That weekend, I wandered along the park's edge, taking in the sights and sounds around me. It was at that fateful place where our journeys intertwined, a moment crafted by serendipity. Leaves began their gentle descent, jagged and winding at the edges. I made my way to the bench we once shared and settled down, lost in thought. There I was, standing solitary. Not a soul around. Yet, his essence remained, weaving through the air like an unspoken tale. Not beside me. Not in a fanciful, otherworldly way. Yet deep within me, a chasm had opened when he first spoke of cautious driving. I whispered softly. Merely a soft murmur carried away by the wind. Thank you, not for the love story. Yet it draws me back to my essence, for a brief instant, only a single time.